Poem for a lady whose voice I like. So he said, you ain't got no talent. If you didn't have a face, you wouldn't be nobody. And she said, God created heaven and earth and all that's black within them. So he said, you ain't really no hot stuff. They tell me plenty sisters take care of better business than you. And she said, on the third day he made chitterlings and all good things to eat and said, that's good. So he said, if the white folks hadn't been under your skirt and been giving you the big plate, you'd have had to come uptown like anybody else. And she replied, then he took a big black greasy rib from Adam and said, we will call this woman, and her name will be Sapphire, and she will divide into 4 parts that Simone may sing a song. And he said, you're pretty full of yourself, ain't you? So she replied, show me someone not full of herself, and I'll show you a hungry person. That's the poem I did for you.
Yes. I think I should probably tell you, you know, maybe other people don't, that I had that said to me in 1942. I worked at the Howard Theater in Washington, and a black band leader told me, there's millions better looking, sing better, and it hadn't been for you being picked by white folks, you know, you couldn't make it. And it stuck with me a long, long time in my life, and I'm still trying to learn how to sing, but I say inside every black woman, there's an Aretha screaming to come out.
You better believe it.
And that's me.
That's, yeah. You know, I don't think it, you are the most imitated singer, black or white, as they say, in the world.
I think that happened because I was picked to, like the man said, I was picked at that time to be what they thought a black woman was like. I was picked even before my own development, and when they picked me, they found they had a tiger by the tail, because they really didn't know what was inside of me. And I was made to look like someone not me. I was made to look like I had to learn to sing, and I was not allowed to imitate rhythm and blues records because they weren't played very much, and I was raised by middle-class people who didn't believe in singing the blues. And I was made to look like Hedy Lamarr and so forth and so on. That's way before your time.
Oh, nobody remembers Hedy Lamarr.
Nobody remembers that. But I think then the girls who began to have the opportunity at that time, because they had finally opened the way for one, they began to put them into the same image too. And so we had a whole decade or so of girls who thought it expedient to imitate me because I was making it, you see.
They say you've been trying to change your image. I don't know what that means.
Well, I think what it means probably is that since Greensboro, as recent as that, and sit-ins, I was able to flee my establishment stereotype because young people had freed me. And I think that since I always have been what I am inside, that I've been able to survive because they really didn't kill anything black in me.
I was, because I remember you were out in, I think, Las Vegas, and you beat that guy bloody with your shoe.
Yeah, well, I drew a little blood. It was in Los Angeles.
It was in Los Angeles.
That probably was the first time I felt less lonely. By the isolation that was imposed upon me by very nature of its definitive isolation from my own people, from white people, this middle thing that I was in, had kept me very much alone spiritually too. And I got insulted. I had frequently done so, but I hadn't done it at a place where there were a couple of reporters around. And the guy made me mad, and I struck him violently, because I am violent in a way.
You're trying to say violence purges the soul?
No, he just made me mad, and sometimes your madness just mounts into, you know, beautiful madness. And I struck him, and I got tons of mail and letters and telegrams from black people who said, you know, hey, thank you, and how wonderful, and all. I said, my God, I'm not alone, and that was in the 50s. I had lived a long time without that feeling. And there are so many young black people now who I see doing things that are revolutionizing me and the world.
Let me sort of ask a question that might be difficult. Like you grew up with, not grew up with, but professionally with Billie Holiday and Dinah Washington.
Yes.
And you survived, and they didn't. Do you? I'm sort of asking, I guess, to respond to that. Like, why? Can you?
I don't know. I didn't want anybody to kill me. I think I didn't want them to destroy me. I mean, let's say I won't say hate because it's very bad, and I've not allowed myself until recently to love and open myself up to love. I was strengthened by my active disinvolvement, hidden, but it kept me surviving, and I think my background, my people must have. I find great migrations made by my great-great-grandmother on both sides that I didn't know anything about until I was in my 40s, and they survived, and it must be in us.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that, you see, I loved Billie very much, and I loved Dinah, and they were both very gentle women to me. They were very good to me when I was starting. And I think I began to know about the sisterhood during those years.
You had a personal tragedy. Your father died, and then your son.
Yes, this past 6 months I've lost my father and my son, and they were both black men that I was denied until I was along in my years. My father and my mother separated when I was 3, and my son was taken from me when he was 3. But I got to know them when I was older, and they really fulfilled a great deal.
When you got ready to marry Lenny Hayden, one of the statements that you made was that you didn't have the strength to marry a black man. How would you?
I had married first a black man, and I wasn't a big enough woman to help him. I married him because I had nobody. I ran away from life as a chorus girl at 16, and a stepfather who was white that I didn't understand. And then I found out how difficult it was for a black man to live at that time and to exist. And I failed him. I didn't know, I didn't have enough consolation in myself because I'd never had it to give to him.
What do you think about the Angela Davis case? What do you think about Angela?
I think that I hate to see another one about my young women being destroyed.
When Angela was arrested, they had a thing uptown. Her mother came, her sister was up there. And one of the parents at 13, I believe, one of the young ladies, was saying, you know, they can say Angela is beautiful, and they can say she's brilliant, but she's right in the same women's detention home that the sisters that walk the street are in.
What I'm so afraid of is this actually is a calculated genocidal move in many instances, because the threat of this kind of strength that these young people have, which may not always be comparable to the kind that our ancestors had, is so positive and so fearless that it frightens people. And I don't want to see this continue, but sometimes I worry that it's a concentrated, thought-out effort to not have a young generation so strong and so beautiful.